Hola. I share a lot of myself on here. I'm a pretty private person, and I can be really reserved and a little standoffish sometimes. Sometimes it takes me a moment to be comfortable. Sometimes I'm comfortable right away. I'm comfortable when I'm like doing my stuff, the things that I'm passionate about that are very heartfelt. Like when I'm teaching yoga, I'm very much tapped in, connected in. There's this phrase, tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And that's how I feel when I'm in an educator role and teaching and doing the things that really light me up. And then I'm not reserved at all, but I can be really reserved. So I do share a lot of myself on here because I think it's relatable. And I've always been in the business of being a helper and being supportive. And I've known since I was a very, very young girl that that was my purpose. I just knew. No one had to tell me. I would have conversations with God. And I mean, I come from a very Catholic family, big Irish Catholic family. And, God was everything. Faith was everything. But I was young when I would have these conversations, these intimate conversations with God. That really wasn't influenced from outside sources. This was just something very internal with me where I understood that there was a mission. I think sometimes your purpose is like what you're doing in the moment is your purpose. Right now, this is my purpose. I've decided to make another video. But then, I do believe that I have a bigger purpose. I don't know, maybe I believe everybody has a purpose. And I believe that finding your purpose, or finding a sense, I should say, I'm going to correct myself, finding a sense of purpose, working in the addiction field and suicide prevention and postvention, when we help those clients tap in to a sense of purpose, their life improves. There's clinical data and research supporting this. And I've been talking a lot about relationships and intimate partnerships in terms of, sex. And I think relationships are the hardest thing, right? I mean, friendships can sometimes be the most easeful, but there can be intense conflict there. Some friends come and go. I've lost many best friends when I was in 6th grade. Kathy Zub, she was my best friend for a big stint of elementary school. And suddenly, boom, like tower moment. I don't even know what happened, and done. I've had 2 best friends in my adult life who we no longer really speak. Life happened, we went in different directions, and that can be quite painful. Being a parent, having an upset with your children is never fun, especially in a divorce situation where there's already been some brokenness or divide in the family dynamic. You might feel it a little bit more deeply, might feel a little bit more painful. And then there's intimate partnerships. I've been on my own for 15 years. That's a really long time. And I've had men say to me, "What is wrong with you?" Which is kind of interesting. I don't get mad, surprisingly. I've had, females say to me, "Did you punch him in the face? Did you give him a smack?" And I'm like, no. I guess it's a legitimate question. They want to know why I've been alone. I've never found the right person. It just hasn't happened. I've had my heart broken several times. I've been duped and deceived a few times. I don't handle betrayal well, and I don't handle lies and manipulation well. And that is a heartbreak that I can't even describe to people. I take it very hard. I really envy the people who experience that and yes, they feel it. They go through the motions, but I've witnessed, people in my life release it much quicker than I'm able to. I really take it to heart because I consider myself an authentic, honest person. I'm not saying that I never lied. You know, quick story, because I love to tell stories. I was one of those kids that took honesty to the nth degree. So, you know, your parents are always telling you, don't lie, you know, you better be honest. And I was the type of kid where we were standing at the corner of my elementary school, and one of the mothers got a haircut and was like, you know, what do you think? And I was like, it's horrible, you know? And then another time, one of my mom's friends had just bought a new sweater and was like, do you like it? And I was like, it's ugly. My mom used to nudge me. I was always getting like my shin kicked under the kitchen table or an elbow, because my mom would say I had no stoplight, I had no filter, but I took honesty that seriously. So I would just say things. I didn't understand that that was hurtful at the time. Of course, I have a lot more tact and diplomacy and grace as an adult, but I would just say it. And so when someone's being manipulative, if somebody is being deceitful, there's this idea out there that if I don't tell you the whole truth, I'm not lying. You know, because you didn't ask me specific questions, so I'm not lying. And it's still deceitful. It's still a lie. One way or another, you know, you can't, you better be very careful with that fine line, you know, very careful. And so you'll see in my videos from when I first moved to Brevard 2 months ago to now I'm a little bit more vibrant. I have a hop in my step. It took me 2 months and about a month before that, so 3 months, but that last month I was living in Columbus, North Carolina. I was kind of still living between North Carolina and South Carolina. It's taken me a good 3 months to get over the hump of a bit of heartbreak. Something happened and things just didn't go the way that I thought they were. I had somebody who kept me hanging. They kept me waiting. I guess I fulfilled a need. I'm very loyal, and I take that seriously as much as honesty. So my loyalty was to a certain partnership, and I was very invested in it, and I believed deeply in what we were doing. And when I look back, I was really the driving force. I mean, it's very hard when relationships and partnerships are one-sided, and I was doing all the work, and I was being breadcrumbed, and I was kept dangling on a string, and I really feel like I was taken for granted and taken advantage of. I was definitely bolstering this person's ego, and I'm someone who, when I'm invested, you know, it takes me a hot minute to be like, is there a return here? And there really wasn't a return. And I promised myself in, 2023 that I would be very cognizant of reciprocity. And at first I thought there was reciprocity, and there really wasn't. This person was very lazy in the partnership. And I was a full participant in this. And this is where it gets sticky, because someone else might feel very victimized. And I was just hurt. I was just experiencing grief, because my love is very big and genuine and heartfelt. And I'm very congruent in my words and actions. So everything that I talk about on my channel, I'm living it. I'm walking my talk. And so looking back and seeing the reality and feeling a little bit blindsided by the twists and turns, things didn't end on a positive note. I don't love that. I don't love walking away from something and not having full closure, or not having things end a little more peacefully or diplomatically. But sometimes, to protect yourself from further hurt, you have to make certain decisions. And so I talk a lot about grief because I've experienced enormous amount of grief, and there's different variances of grief, like anything else. It's the difference between stubbing your toe and lacerating your arm. You know, one, you just go to bed with a little bit of pain, you have an owie. The other one, you're in the hospital. You know, you're at an emergency walk-in clinic or an ER. And so I'm able to handle things well. You know, my emotional intelligence has increased greatly because I feel things very deeply. I'm a very passionate person, and I don't play with people's mind or emotions. I don't believe in that. And that's kind of what I was on the receiving end of. And so you'll notice a difference in my videos. And it's not just because other things in my life are improving, like work situations, because I very much need to be fulfilled. I need to be submerged in my purpose. I need to be doing things that are very intentional and uplifting for my soul and spirit, and knowing that I'm being of service to other people. And so I've landed 2 jobs that have been fulfilling that role. They've been recent, within the last 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm surrounded by wonderful people, and everyone's very invested in their wellness. So I couldn't have asked for a better gig, and I'm so grateful. And I'm about to get out of a situation, a work situation that is a little bit toxic and not very healthy for me. But one thing that I did do is I practiced homeopathy. And I had dosed myself with Ignatia, but I dosed myself with a lower dose. And even though intuitively I knew I needed a higher dilution, I don't know why I procrastinated. But I really needed to talk to my therapist. Well, she's a homeopath, but she's therapeutically aligned. So it's like spiritual counseling. It's like spiritual therapy. And so her name is Pika Trenkle, and she's in New Jersey, and she's an amazing human being. And I've been seeing her for years, and she's been kind enough to do phone sessions with me since I relocated, because she's known me for so many years. But really, homeopathy, like a lot of modalities, you kind of need to be in person for that. And I've had some aches and pains outside of the situation I just described in my personal life, my family dynamic. And so I dosed myself with a higher dilution. She put me on Ignatia at a higher dose, and you see the turnaround. It's like grief melting away, feeling like I'm back, like I got myself back. And that is really the power of homeopathy. I'll do a deeper dive into the science behind homeopathy in another video, but it's essentially like cures like. So you're dosing yourself with small increments of what's ailing you. So say the flu, there's a remedy called influenza. There's a remedy called gelsem. And gelsem is for gelsenium, I think is the full name. And gelsem is a remedy that's great for anxiety. So like say fear of dentist, that's one that they'll prescribe. And Ignatia is amazing for grief and deep heartache and heartbreak. And I felt compelled to share this because there are things that you can do to energetically move things around, and I'm a big believer in that. And then there are things to do somatically. And then all of that is intrinsically connected, right? So moving through things physically, getting deeper into the somatics of things, working on the energetics. And that's why I love yoga so much, because it encompasses all of that. Traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, a lot of these indigenous cultural practices fully embody all of this. And so I will do another video on homeopathy. I'm not a licensed homeopath, but I prescribe remedies for people all the time. And I've been told that I've, been pretty helpful in that area, and that I'm pretty much on target with my prescriptions. My kids were raised on homeopathy, herbs, chiropractic adjustments, and acupuncture, and organic foods. They rarely went to the doctor. And so, yeah, I just can't, it's like sometimes I even forget how mind-blowing homeopathy is. I forgive this person. I think they are broken and stuck in a really bad place. And I think that they meant well in one way and don't even realize how hurtful they can be. So there's not a lot of self-awareness. And I have compassion for that, because we really can't heal without a heightened sense of self-awareness. So if you're always blaming and victimizing yourself and procrastinating your healing, or you turn to addictions, and that can even be work. So you're just doing all of these things to distract yourself from feeling your feelings and actually healing and working on yourself. Because if you don't dive deep, if you just continue to live your life surface level, you're not going to see much change. It just doesn't work that way. And so I do have compassion, and I do forgive them. I do feel like fully over it. That Ignatia helped me really cross the threshold into a much better place. But homeopathy is just an amazing practice for overall wellness and healing. You can take things at a lower dilution for physical symptoms and a higher dilution for those emotional, mental aspects. And then homeopathy is also amazing for spiritual crisis, because we all have these moments of esoteric spiritual crisis where we might have a loss of identity, or just what's the point, or why am I here, that dark night of the soul. And homeopathy has always held my hand through all of that. So I hope this video helps. If you have any questions for me, reach out.